My name's Luigi. You might know me as the taller, greener brother from Super Mario Bros. And for reasons I still can't understand, I somehow won a mansion in this bizarre contest I never even entered. At first, I thought it was a prank, but the letter was real, sealed with wax and everything. I shrugged, threw my suitcase and a couple of snacks into my trusty old green van, the one with the oversized L on the hood, and pointed it toward the address. The drive dragged on for hours, winding through thick forests and over crumbling bridges, the radio cutting in and out with bursts of static and eerie, old-fashioned tunes. By the time I finally rolled up the driveway, the sky was smeared with bruised clouds, crows cawing and swirling like omens above the towering, half-rotted roof. I stepped out, my sneakers crunching on the gravel, and stared up at the looming mansion. It was massive, 3 stories, maybe 4, with turrets and balconies that jutted out at odd angles. But there was something deeply wrong about it. The windows were like black holes, and the front doors, carved with grotesque faces, seemed to grin at me. The air was thick with the scent of mold and decay. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my bags, the bravado I'd tried to muster in the van dissolving into dread. I couldn't shake this feeling that I was being watched. Out of the corner of my eye, shadows twitched behind those dark windows, too quick, too deliberate to be tricks of the light. I hesitated at the door, heart pounding, and then forced myself inside. "Mamma mia," I whispered, stepping into a grand foyer drowned in dust and cobwebs. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the hollow echo of my footsteps. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, but the place felt alive, somehow, like the walls themselves were breathing. Everywhere I looked, there were paintings, dozens, maybe hundreds, lining the halls. Portraits of people I didn't recognize, their faces warped by time and neglect. But their eyes seemed to follow me, tracking my every move, judging and accusing. I hurried on, desperately searching for anything familiar, but the mansion only grew stranger the deeper I went. Then, turning a corner, I stumbled into a room that stank of rot and old blood. The walls were lined with gruesome trophies, bodies, or what was left of them, their heads impaled on pikes. My stomach lurched, bile burning the back of my throat. I wanted to run, to scream, but I couldn't move. And then I saw her, Daisy. My Daisy. Her face frozen in a mask of terror, eyes wide and unseeing, mouth open in a silent scream. I fell to my knees, the world spinning around me. I cradled her head in my hands, tears streaming down my cheeks, begging her to wake up, to tell me this was just some horrible dream. I kissed her cold, lifeless cheek, barely able to breathe through the sobs racking my body. I would have stayed there forever, lost in grief, but suddenly, a deafening crash shattered the silence. Glass exploded all around me as every window in the mansion burst at once. Shards rained down like knives, and I threw myself to the floor, covering my head. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might burst. I was shaking uncontrollably, utterly paralyzed by fear. I'd never felt so helpless, so exposed. It took me a while to pull myself together. Shards of glass crunched beneath my shoes as I stumbled to my feet, wiping my eyes and forcing myself to move. I bolted for the front door, hope flickering, only for the heavy doors to slam in my face with supernatural force. I clawed at the handles, but they wouldn't budge. I was trapped. Panic clawed at my throat, but I knew I couldn't just give up. I forced myself to keep going, heart hammering, legs barely steady beneath me. I crept upstairs, the steps moaning and shifting under my weight. Each hallway twisted into the next, the mansion's layout defying logic, leading me in circles. At every turn, I felt the weight of the eyes in the paintings, the chill of unseen presences drifting by. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a ghostly figure glided past me, pale and translucent, its face twisted in sorrow and rage. I froze, hardly daring to breathe, my mind screaming for me to run. As I edged into the next room, the floor collapsed underfoot. I plummeted, tumbling through darkness and dust, landing hard in the icy, fetid air of the basement. Down here, the horrors were even worse. More bodies, more grotesque displays, heads and limbs, twisted and arranged in ghastly parodies of life. The walls seemed to pulse with some sick energy, as if the mansion itself thrived on suffering. Then I heard it, voices, chanting in low, guttural tones, echoing through the blackness. I followed the sound, each step more difficult than the last, dread pulling at my insides. The chanting grew louder, more urgent, until I reached a chamber lit by flickering candles. There, at the center, stood Mario, my own brother. Blood streaked his hands, and in one he clutched a knife, its blade dripping. His face was a mask of twisted glee, eyes wild, mouth stretched into a grin I barely recognized. A toad knelt before him, pleading, voice shaking with terror. "No, please, Mario, you don't have to do this." But Mario just laughed, a sound so cold and joyless it chilled me to the bone. Without hesitation, he raised the knife and brought it down, severing the toad's head in a spray of crimson. He turned to me, blood spattering his overalls, and his grin only widened. "Ah, Luigi, my little brother," he drawled, voice thick with menace and mockery. "So good of you to join the party." My mind reeled. This couldn't be real, this couldn't be happening. I screamed, rage and heartbreak warring inside me. "Mario, you monster! You evil son of a bitch! What have you done?" Mario just smirked, his eyes gleaming with something inhuman. Without another word, he traced a symbol in the air, and a swirling portal opened behind him, its edges crackling with unnatural light. "See you soon, brother," he taunted, and with a mocking wave, he vanished into the portal, leaving behind only echoes of his laughter. I collapsed onto the cold stone floor, my whole body racked with sobs. He killed them all, Daisy, the toads, maybe even more. My own brother. My heart felt like it had been torn out, but somewhere beneath the grief, a new resolve began to burn. I wiped my eyes and made a promise to the empty, haunted room. I would find Mario. I would make him pay for every life he'd taken, for every nightmare he'd unleashed. Even if I had to chase him through 1,000 haunted worlds, I wouldn't stop. Not now. Not ever. And if I failed, if I couldn't bring him down, then maybe someone else would finish what I started. But I swore, on Daisy's memory and all the good we'd ever tried to do, that Mario would never get away with this. Not after what he'd become.